Thank you, Secretary Solis. And next we have a most honored guest. I've been privileged to work with the PGR. We have had meetings, several meetings here. My staff has also gone down to Mexico to talk about how we could work together, understanding that the offenders, the perpetrators of this crime, they're talking across the border. And so we want to and need to also. Of course, our great leaders out of the United States Department of Justice have been doing this work, but we wanted to reinforce that work by making it clear that we're strong partners with our U.S. attorneys, with our United States Department of Justice, and together we're all dedicated to making sure that when folks are just creating victims out of our residents, that we will not stop at any jurisdictional boundary or border to go after them and to make sure they're held accountable. So with that, I am very honored and pleased to introduce Marisela Morales Jimenez.
Buenos días. Y quiero agradecer la invitación de mi amiga la Procuradora de California, Kamala Harris, al Simposium de Liderazgo sobre Trata de Personas y felicitarla por su gran compromiso y entusiasmo en el combate a estos delitos que son verdaderamente deleznables y en donde hay gente muy comprometida en varios países, en México en particular. Estamos sumamente comprometidos, mujeres y hombres, en las diferentes dependencias del gobierno federal y de los gobiernos estatales. También saludo a la secretaria Solís y también le reitero mi admiración a Ima y a los funcionarios del gobierno federal y local, de los locales, a todos ustedes. Quiero comentarles que he encontrado una gran aliada en la Procuradora Kamala. Hemos firmado una carta de intención en donde a partir de ahí hemos tenido reuniones de trabajo, los equipos de la Procuradora con la Procuraduría General de la República. Y esto lo hemos compartido incluso con los procuradores generales de justicia de los 31 estados que conforman la República Mexicana y el Distrito Federal, y que por cierto se encuentra también aquí la fiscal de delitos sexuales de la Procuraduría del Distrito Federal, nuestra amiga Camila, quien también es una mujer que está luchando y que está trabajando intensamente en el combate a la trata de personas. Nosotros en esta carta de intención tenemos varios puntos en los que trabajar. Hemos empezado en algo muy importante, que es el intercambio de información y experiencias. Esto ya se ha llevado a cabo y se seguirá llevando de la misma forma en que lo hemos hecho con otros países y en otros estados, sobre todo en Estados Unidos. La Oficina de Inmigración y Aduanas de la Embajada en los Estados Unidos de América y que se encuentra en México, ha sido nuestro principal aliado en esta lucha contra la trata de personas, sobre todo en los diferentes estados de este país en donde hemos detectado casos de trata de personas. Y ha sido precisamente esa gran colaboración que hemos tenido, que nos ha permitido llevar casos de éxito y lograr rescatar niñas, niños y mujeres, y hemos podido lograr la primera sentencia en trata de personas y delincuencia organizada con una penas de 37 años de prisión para las personas que actualmente se encuentran ya en prisión. En ese sentido estamos muy comprometidos y sabemos que este acercamiento y estas cartas y memorándums que hemos firmado nos llevarán a tener grandes casos y resultados, porque es importante primero tener los instrumentos para lograr esa colaboración, hacerla eficaz y eficiente y lograr esos casos de éxito. Pero por otro lado, el gran compromiso que existe de personas, mujeres y hombres comprometidos con este tema, y que aquí en California, además de que existe, como ya lo señaló la Procuradora Kamala, la trata de personas de mexicanas y mexicanos, Es importante el gran compromiso que existe por parte de la Procuraduría, de la Procuradora en particular y de su gran equipo de trabajo para poder trabajar de manera coordinada y de una manera muy comprometida con la Procuraduría General de la República de México y también con las procuradurías de los estados. Por eso precisamente se encuentra aquí una fiscal de la Procuraduría del Distrito Federal, porque esta cooperación es amplia. No se limita solamente al fuero federal, sino también a los fueros locales. El delito de trata de personas, recientemente en junio de este año, ya entró en vigor la Ley General de Trata de Personas, y en donde abarca también a los estados, a todos los 31 estados y el Distrito Federal, y por supuesto a la Federación. La Procuración de Justicia es fundamental para el combate a todos los delitos, pero en especial en este de trata de personas. Se ha seguido modelos importantes en otros países, como estos grupos que se están llevando a cabo en California y en otros estados de Estados Unidos y de otros países, como los grupos de tarea o Task Force. En donde en México ya está aprobado los grupos que se llaman células mixtas, porque concurren las dependencias locales y federales en un mismo esfuerzo, que es el combate a la trata de personas. Ya está constituido estos grupos a nivel local y federal a través de la Conferencia de Procuración de Justicia, y en donde nos ha tenido también la oportunidad de acompañar representantes de la Conferencia del Oeste de Procuradores, y ha sido muy enriquecedora su participación para compartirnos los éxitos y sobre todo ofrecer la capacitación que hemos tenido en varios estados de la República y en la misma Procuraduría General de la República. Así que nuestra carta de intención ha incluido no solamente el promover las investigaciones exitosas y el intercambio de información, sino también la formación y capacitación de los servidores públicos que se encargan de este combate a la trata de personas, pero además promover programas de apoyo y protección a víctimas de este delito. Con ayuda de la Embajada de los Estados Unidos se elaboró un modelo de capacitación unificado que fue ya aprobado y que se va a llevar a cabo en todas las unidades, las células mixtas que van a operar en cada uno de los estados en la República Mexicana, y ha sido muy valiosa ese intercambio y esa cooperación y colaboración. Y yo solamente quiero agradecer la oportunidad de estar en este simposio, de participar en esta conferencia de prensa y en la colaboración tan importante que hemos logrado tener, y en la identificación del compromiso en este tema, que es sumamente importante para ambas naciones, y que solamente con la colaboración y el compromiso de personas como las que están aquí representadas es como podemos llegar a lograr éxitos juntos. Así lo hemos logrado en México. Gracias a ese esfuerzo es que tenemos ya varias sentencias como la que les comentaba, porque son asuntos federales los que se han llevado en las dos procuradurías, en los dos países, y eso es precisamente el resultado de esa gran colaboración, cooperación y confianza, y la vamos a seguir incrementando entre todas las instituciones de México y de Estados Unidos. Muchas gracias y felicidades por este gran trabajo y por este gran compromiso. Muchas gracias.
Muy amable. Thank you. Okay. And next we have Ima Matul, who has been, as I've said, very courageous, and she's going to share a few words about her experience.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I want to tell a little bit of sharing a little bit of my story. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm a survivor of minor labor trafficking. When I was 17, I was brought to this country and I was working in a family back home, and this family that I work with, she have a family who live. She have a family who live here in Los Angeles. So she offered me if I want to come to the U.S. to work as a nanny, and she offered me $150 a month, and I don't even have to pay anything. They will take care of the passport, visas, and tickets. And for me at that time was such a great opportunity. I even brought my cousin along with me. So we came here to Los Angeles together, and we were together when we arrived in Los Angeles, our trafficker took away our passport, and so when we get home we have to practice or learning how to clean the house, and because in here we use different chemical, not like back home. So after a week, my cousin stayed with her trafficker, and then I went with my trafficker. My trafficker picked me up from that house, and she took me to her house, and when we got to her house, she explained to me what I have to do, like cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, doing laundry, gardening, washing the car, all of the house work. And I was working for 18 hours a day, sometimes more, 7 days a week. And I was physically and verbally abused, and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. I wasn't chained down, like kept in the house. I was allowed to go outside, like to take the dog for a walk or to take the baby for a walk around the block. But even though I have the opportunity to go outside, I was afraid to escape because, she always threatening me if I ever leave, the police will arrest me and put me in jail, and there's, so many bad people in jail that could rape me. So I was scared. And, I have no choice but to stay in the house even though I was physically and verbally abused. I have bruises on my face, on my head. And, if I ever leave, where am I going to go? I don't have any money because she never pay me. I don't have any family here. And the person that I know in this country is only my cousin, which is we haven't seen each other since we got separated. Even though she promised us that we're going to see each other once a week and a day off. And those promises were empty, were lie. And so after 3 years, I finally couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to write a letter to the nanny next door. And I don't know how to speak English, I don't know how to write in English, so it took me months to write that letter, and take many more months to have the courage to give it to that nanny next door, because I was afraid that my trafficker would caught me and give me more punishment. So I finally gave that letter to the nanny next door, and a few days later she arranged my escape, and she took me to an organization here in Los Angeles. At that time I didn't know where she was going to take me. For me, as long as I was out of that house, I was so happy. I don't care where she's going to take me. I know that she's going to take me to somewhere safe. And so she took me to organization here in Los Angeles, Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking. And since then, they've been helping me with, shelter, food, money, clothes, any basic necessity that I need. And they send me to school to learn English, computer, any skills that I need to get back on my feet. And after I graduated from the CAS program, I joined this leadership program that CAS provided called Survivor Advisory Caucus. And since then, I've been speaking in publicly telling my story, on behalf of the survivor who's not able telling their story because they're afraid. And I've been, meeting with the legislator. I go to Washington, D.C. I go to Sacramento to make the law better for the human trafficking victim. So my message for the victim out there, this is, don't be afraid to come out, because I was afraid that nobody out there could help me. I didn't know that. I was afraid. So now that you're if you are still in that situation, don't be afraid. There's still hope, for your life. All of these people in this room behind me, they could help you. So California is doing such a great job, better than way back 10 years ago. And now, there's a law about, putting the trafficker in jail. Back then there's not that kind of law, so that's why, as a victim, we were scared. Thank you. IMA, Matul. Ima, IMA, and my last name Matul, Matul.
We're going to take questions after. We have just two more speakers who will be brief. And Sheriff Baca.
Right.
I promise, Kamala.
The Attorney General, is the chief law enforcement officer of the state, and I understand what brief means. The conference today downstairs has hundreds of professionals like myself who are seeking better ways of understanding this problem. And the Attorney General has brought us together to focus on the realities of it. And Ima here, as you know, gave the most compelling explanation of what this is really all about. So it's broken down into two areas, the criminal pursuit, labor, that is slave labor, and sex. And so what we've done in this county is we've organized ourselves federally with our state partners as well, meaning the U.S., the Attorney General's office, and the local county law enforcement, which is Sheriff's Department, and the LAPD and the 43 other police agencies. At the top of this, of course, is the FBI, which has a team that has created a task force under the umbrella name of the Innocents Lost Initiative. And we believe that federal prosecutions, and Henri Broad is here, are the ultimate way of sending a strong message that if you're convicted of any kind of human trafficking, you're going to be serving an awful long period of time of your life in prison. And I believe that what's critical to our message, in addition to what this conference represents, is that we don't believe we know all there is to know. The partners here from Mexico are part of this process because of the Attorney General reaching out to them and having them involved because of the need for us to be well coordinated not only locally but nationally and internationally. So what we're trying to do at this point in time is to recognize that this is a specialized form of crime. It has its ingredients of secrecy. It involves people that can't speak the native language of the United States, which is English. And there's an element of need for us to self-improve. So I'm committed. The Attorney General's taking the charge in California. We believe together that we are going to continue to be seeking best practices, and that law enforcement must cooperate, does cooperate, and we are going to pursue the highest penalties possible, but we're also going to be very, very aware of what it means to be a victim, thanks to Ima. Thank you very much.
And Mike Ramos, the District Attorney of San Bernardino.
Thank you. I will be brief, and it's pretty simple concept for the district attorneys across the state of California and across the nation who I'm with as we speak today. Centuries ago, decades ago, there's a picture of a president in my office, President Lincoln. And I will tell you today, he inspires me every day. And what he did to abolish slavery was an amazing feat if you study history at all. But we do have modern slavery now. And we cannot let what he did years ago just go by the wayside. And it is even worse. It's underground. It's behind closed doors. You heard our victim today. And now it's going after our children, our most vulnerable victims. From as early as 4 years old, I've heard, average of 12, 13, and 4-year-old victims. So we need to send a message to these traffickers, these pimps that they like to call themselves. We had a case a few months ago, 13-year-old little girl, used, abused sexually. That Crip gang member has now been sentenced to state prison for 330 years to life. I want the world to know that. You commit these crimes in the state of California and the nation, we're going to hold you accountable and put you away. Now, the citizens of the state did a tremendous thing in passing Prop 35 to make it tougher, laws tougher against the pimps. History making, 81% passed that. So that's sending a message to us that really care about this job, that we're going to continue to fight this. And remember, it's basically this. It's victims. It's driven by these people, whether it's labor or used as sex slaves. And if we keep that in mind, we will be successful. And I will end with this. I will thank my friend, the Attorney General of this state, Kamala Harris, for having this passion even before she was Attorney General, when she was DA and when she was prosecuting cases in her county. So thank you very much. Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you.